Hey guys, my name is David Haynes. I'm one of the owners of Owensboro Brewbridge and Escape Today Owensboro. Your teacher Kelsey asked me to provide you guys with a few tips on how to do job interviews, what to do, what not to do, and some of the things I've experienced since I've been given a lot of job interviews, especially recently, coming back from COVID. So the first thing that I tell a lot of people is you've got to dress to impress, but you've also got to know who you're dressing for. And the reason I say that is if you're applying for a job in let's say, a bar, you probably shouldn't wear a suit to the interview. You can, but it might not be the most appropriate thing to wear. That said, it's much better than wearing torn up jeans and a sweatshirt and stuff like that. So dress to impress to a degree. Now, if you're going in for a job where you're going to be working in the office, you should totally wear a suit. But you want to be able to relate to the person that's interviewing you as best as possible. That's going to be your best chance to successfully get the opportunity you seek. If you can find some sort of like common ground with the person you're interviewing. Other than that, promptness goes a million miles in getting the job you want. That means showing up early, not just on time, early. Basically, being the first person there that shows whoever the job interviewer is that you are the one that deserves this job. Everything that we do is based on time. So basically, if you can be the one person that shows up early, that's going to set you apart from the rest of the candidates. If you're that person that just shows up barely on time, people are going to take notice and that might actually go against you. So, promptness, punctuality, and also asking questions. People want to have conversations. They don't just want to talk at you, and they don't want you to talk just at them. They want to engage with you. They want to know who you are as a person, what makes you tick, and where you see yourself ending up. So, I would always have answers ready for some basic questions like where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? What would you like to do education wise? What are some of your hobbies that you're involved in now? And then, of course, you've got your interview questions that are a little cliche at this point, but what is your greatest strength? And what is your greatest weakness? So, those are the questions that are asked in probably 90% of interviews. So always make sure that you have an answer for those questions before you go in. Rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. Doesn't cost you any money to be the better rehearsed candidate. Other than that, guys, make sure that you smile a lot. People love seeing teeth. Teeth show it's not a sign of affection, but it's a sign of respect to actually show your teeth to people. So make sure you smile. If you've got a good smile, use that as your asset. Make sure you're well groomed. You're shaven. I'm not doing the greatest job of it right now, but you should have seen me a few months ago. Make sure you're prim and proper. You put some effort and time into your hair, your clothes, make sure they're ironed. Basically, just put the best foot forward you possibly can. Make yourself look like the most complete candidate possible. Other than that, like I said earlier, ask questions. Make sure that you engage with the person interviewing you because they're going to remember you. They're going to remember that you asked a good question and that you cared enough to ask a question. So, a lot of jobs these days, it's all about how well the candidate comes off in terms of how well they're going to be able to work with others. The more you can talk and the more that you can interact with your job interviewer, the more they're going to believe that you are the best team player, the best person available. So, some things not to do: don't chew gum during an interview. Don't do it. Don't just, it's bad. Don't look at your phone during an interview. In fact, stow your phone away unless you have an emergency or unless there's the potential for an emergency, and then just make sure the interviewer knows that there's the potential for an emergency. But make sure you don't answer your phone. Silence that thing. Just put it away, even leave it in your car if you can. That's going to show a lot of respect for the interviewer and the process. And let me tell you, it is not the most fun sometimes to interview people. So make it as enjoyable as possible for both parties. I have probably interviewed hundreds of people at this point. A lot of them have been pretty rough. A lot of them, it's kind of like throwing questions at a brick wall. You don't get any response except yes, no, maybe, okay, that sort of thing. Make sure you never leave with a one word answer. One word answer shows that you're unprepared. So just keep that in mind. Now, you don't have to talk about absolute nonsense, but make sure you know what you're talking about. I've seen people show up without shoes on to interviews. Make sure you wear shoes. You probably won't get a job very many places if you don't wear shoes. I've had people show up and tell me what they're going to make, what I'm going to pay them. That is also not an appropriate thing to do. You should never tell somebody who can give you a job or not give you a job what you deserve to make on the first interview. Now, maybe down the road, you do such a good job at your job that you can do that, but that is not how you start the employee relationship. You also want to make sure that you very clearly define your availability. That means if you can't work nights or weekends, you better tell them up front. There's nothing worse than, telling people that you can do that and then coming back to it and you're like, no, I can't do that. That's not going to get you very far. So be upfront and honest about your availability because it will bite you in the butt if you don't later on down the line. I can give you guys a million bad examples about job interviews I've had, but I'll refrain from that unless at some point in the future Kelsey wants me to talk about that. But basically, what I want to instill is put your best foot forward at all costs. Sometimes just showing up will get you a job. Seriously. Sometimes that's how it works. But other times when there's candidates that are just as prepared and just as, put together as you're going to have your research in place. You're going to have to knock the socks off of whoever's interviewing you. That said, know the job you're applying for. Don't go in dressed like like James Bond for a pet food job. That's going to be weird and confuse people. Just basically make everyone that's in the interview process as comfortable as possible. Don't raise any red flags. So, yeah, I hope that helped, guys. Good luck with your future careers. And yeah, I'll see you later.